The final notes of the college anthem hung in the humid air of the Delhi University campus. For Rahul, a final-year engineering student, it wasn't a song of celebration but a dirge for a life he felt was slipping away. He stood by the old banyan tree, a silent observer of a different kind of farewell. Arohi, the girl who owned his heart, was laughing with a group of friends, her voice a bright, melodic counterpoint to his inner turmoil. She was the star of their batch, brilliant, charismatic, and the daughter of a real estate mogul. He was a scholarship student, a numerical genius, who saw patterns in data but was blind to the social code of a world he didn't belong to. He had promised himself this day would be different. He would finally tell her. As his friends said their goodbyes, he found her alone, looking out at the fading sun. "Arohi," he began, his voice barely a whisper. "For 4 years, I've watched you. I think I'm in love with you." Her laughter, a sound he adored, was the first thing to shatter. "Rahul," she said, her tone softening with a touch of pity. "That's sweet. But we're not kids anymore. My father's already set up my internship at our firm. I'll be managing multi-crore projects. You're still looking for a job, right? You have nothing. No capital, no connections. I need a partner, not a project." The words landed with a cold finality. He had nothing. She was right. The bitter seed of her rejection, a cocktail of reality and class difference, took root in his soul. As he walked away, he didn't just feel heartbroken. He felt a burning resolve. He would build an empire, not by grinding out a salary, but by working smarter than everyone else. Months later, Rahul was working a thankless junior role at a telecom firm. He was meticulous with his savings, setting aside every spare rupee. One day, he received a small package. It was a well-thumbed copy of The Intelligent Investor, a book he had seen Arohi reading, with a small, handwritten note tucked inside. It simply read, "Work smart, not hard. Find the patterns. I believe in you. A. Arohi," she had sent it. The message was cryptic, a breadcrumb trail of hope in a forest of doubt. Was it an apology? A challenge? He didn't know, but it ignited a fire in him. He decided to turn his heartbreak into his greatest asset. He started with a monthly sip of 3-0, a small amount but a consistent act of defiance against her words. He began to apply his engineering logic to the stock market, seeing it not as a casino, but as a complex machine with inputs and outputs. As his portfolio slowly grew, so did his curiosity. He started a personal blog to track his investment journey, calling it Arohi's Challenge. A few months in, he started receiving anonymous comments on his posts. They were not generic compliments, but highly specific, almost cryptic questions about his analysis. "What about the supply chain disruption in Q3?" one comment would read. "Are you accounting for the new government policy on ethanol blends?" Another would ask. These comments pushed him to think deeper, to dig for more information, to become a better analyst. He became obsessed with figuring out who A was. Was it Arohi, still a silent participant in his life? 5 years into his journey, Rahul had built a decent, but not spectacular portfolio. His blog, however, had gained a cult following among young investors. One day, he received a formal email from a venture capitalist firm. They wanted to invest in him. Not his blog, but his unique analytical model. They believed his blend of engineering logic and fundamental analysis was a fresh take on investment strategy. The email was signed by a junior partner named Annika. He met with her and was impressed by her sharp mind, her uncanny ability to finish his sentences. They hit it off instantly, building a strong, professional bond. As their business took off, Rahul's company became a huge success. They were getting ready for an IPO. One evening, Annika invited him to her house for dinner to celebrate. She led him into her study, and his heart almost stopped. On her bookshelf, right next to her computer, was his old, well-thumbed copy of The Intelligent Investor. She saw his gaze and smiled. "My father gave me this when I was in college," she said. He told me to find a partner who sees the world not as it is, but as it can be. Rahul, his mind reeling, finally connected the dots. Annika was the person he had been corresponding with, the one who had been challenging him on his blog. But she wasn't Arohi. He felt a wave of disappointment, but also a profound connection to the woman standing before him. Just then, his phone buzzed with an incoming call. It was a number he hadn't seen in a decade. Rahul, a familiar voice said on the other end. "It's Arohi. I've been following your story." The next day, Rahul met Arohi. She looked different, older, and her eyes held a weight he hadn't seen before. "I've been in touch with you for 10 years, she confessed. "The book, the blog comments, everything was from me." Rahul was speechless. "But why? And who is Annika?" Arohi revealed the truth. After she left college, her father's business was hit by a major scandal. They lost everything. She was forced to start from scratch. Annika was her younger sister. Arohi had seen Rahul's potential, his intelligence, and she knew she had made a terrible mistake. She couldn't come back and simply apologize. She had to earn his respect back. So she had planted the seed of the book, hoping he would find his path. She had then created a fake identity, Annika, and mentored her sister to become a venture capitalist with the sole purpose of finding and investing in him. She knew he needed a partner who believed in him, and she had built that partner from the ground up, all to prove her faith in his vision. Rahul was no longer the heartbroken boy. He was a man who had built an empire not just with smart work, but with the consistent belief in himself that a girl had secretly nurtured from a distance. He looked at Annika, who was now more than a business partner, and he looked at Arohi, the architect of his journey. He realized that the greatest investment he had ever made was the faith he had in himself, a faith that had been planted by two remarkable women who believed in him when he had nothing, and helped him grow into the man who finally had everything.